Data cannot be directly processed by the processing unit in secondary memory and transfers the data first into the main memory and then it to the processing unit. There we can data. Secondary memory refers to all external devices such as floppy disk, magnetic tapes, CDs, DVDs, etc. These are than primary memory, but substantial amount of data in the range of gigabytes and terabytes. To connect all these peripherals, we need NAND connections. Well, port refers to a peripheral is a hole or connection found on the front or back of this as an the and other computer peripheral devices. In computer terms, port referred as a of computing device available for connection to such as input and output devices. These are all the input and output devices. These input devices and output devices for our CPU, we need ports and connections. Computer ports have many uses. These connect cameras or any other peripheral devices. Physical layer, a specialized outlet on a piece of equipment to which a plug or a cable connects. Again, in this port, it is divided into two groups based on the signal transfer. Serial port sends and receives one bit at a time via a single wire pair. Coming to parallel port, sends multiple bits at the same time over several set of wires. After ports are typically require handshaking, where transfer type, transfer rate, and other necessary information is shared before data is sent. Bend pins. These pins are easier to replace on a cable and on a connector attached to the computer. So, common to use connectors for the fixed size of a. If that side is fixed, then we use the connectors rather than ports. Now coming to devices, it only allow data to a computer, access that CPU and sends the output out. The most commonly used input devices are keyboard, microphone, keyboard and mouse, which act from the users that data to the computer. They cannot accept or reproduce in computer. Coming to microphone, it receives the generated by an input source and sends that sound to a computer. Coming to webcam, it receives emitted by whatever it is at input and those images to the computer. This is about coming to output devices. Or is any peripheral that receives the data from the computer, usually on the display. Project, it is physical reproduction. Monitor, printer, output devices with a every monitor, that is a display screen, sound card and video card, or all these all are output devices. Is also very commonly used with computers, type of computer and how the computer other out may be used with a computer. For example, plotter, LCD projection plane, compute, micro, speak, headphone, visual decoder, sound. This is about of a computer. Input devices, output devices, store all the input, keyboard. In the we have primary memory and secondary, some as storage, prime and secondary storage, and CPU, which given information about the block diagram of a. What is a computer? Machine which accepts data and processes it and sends information to devices. Computer is an in machine language, that is ones, bit, binary digits, bit, bit. It is defined smallest data, binary or words that hold 1. See, byte. Byte is group bits. Byte. Byte printed 0 to, that is bit right is to 6 and 8 back to 0, 3, 4, 7. Left most how it represents 2 power 0 power 1 2 power 1 up 7. Represents 2 as well is this is bit, it is set to. A word is a group of 16 bits. Same as here, 1 byte is a 8 bits. A word is a group of 8 bits. Bits in a word are numbered starting from again 0 to 15 because it is a group 16 bits. Individual bit and byte set of and 2 bytes. To the of gives the that is exit and put from the memory storage, that is of will provide with control it. CPU is a computer component executes the instruction which tells what to do. This computer its work, the machine is the process. Data, input data to information as an output. Here, a extensive set of electronic circuitry store instructions. It unit for each instruction. First step is it fetches the from the memory. The second step is this decodes that data from memory to the arithmetic logic unit. These two steps are together called action time step and second step are together called as instruction time. Now coming to the third step, arithmetic unit, arithmetic operation, sample addition, subtraction, go on like that, and or not operations, that is the ALU and control and performs the action on the data. This store of this memory or in this third together called as time. This memory two times. Primary memory and secondary memory. That is memory is a brain of a computer, data and information for storing and same just like our human brain. Memory is it is storage space. Same as for computer, it is a storage space like a physical device which is capable of storing data or programs temporarily or permanently. Is said to be secondary storage and temporary primary storage. We call it as memory is a file memory. A change in case of where in case of it is a storage device. When power failure, we cannot lose the data. Primary memory is a memory of a computer which can be directly accessed by the central processing unit. We store the data in a primary memory, then the computer can be accessed. That is, we can access the information very fastly. It is a memory which is used to store frequently and programs frequently used programs which can be directly accessed by the processing unit for further purpose. Every application on a computer into the RAM, that is random access, which makes it faster to access. So this refers to an internal memory such as storage. Now coming to secondary memory, it refers to external storage devices, that is the data stores or information it is storing is permanent. The data cannot be directly processed by the processing unit in secondary memory, but it transfers the data first into the main memory and then it transfers back to the processing unit. From there we can access the data. Secondary memory refers to all external devices such as floppy disk, hard disk, magnetic tape, CDs, DVDs. These are generally slower than primary memory but can store substantial amount of data in the range of gigabytes and terabytes. To connect all this, we need and connections. We'll see what are all the port. Port refers to a hardware or peripheral is a hole or connection found on the front or back of the computer. This port serves as an interface between the computer and other computer peripheral devices. In computer terms, port referred as a part of computing device available for connection to such as input and output devices. These are all port and output devices. For connecting these input devices and output devices for our CPU, we need ports and connections. Computer ports have many uses. These connect monitors, webcam, speakers, or any other peripheral devices. On physical layer, a computer port is a specialized outlet on a piece of equipment to which a plug or a cable connects. Again, in this port, it is divided into two groups based on the signal transfer. Serial port sends and receives one bit at a time via a single wire pair. Coming to parallel port, sends multiple bits at the same time over several set of wires. Ports are connected. They typically require handshaking, where transfer type, transfer rate, and other necessary information is shared before data is sent. Bend pins. These pins are easier to replace on a cable than on a attached to the computer. So, it was common to use connectors for the fixed size of an interface. If that side is fixed using better connectors ports. Coming to input device. Input devices only allow for input of data to a computer and it processes that from the CPU, the output to the output devices. The most commonly used input device: keyboard, microphone, webcam. Keyboard and mouse, which accepts the input and sends that data to the computer, accept all information from the computer. Phone, it receives sound and input and sends that sound. Webcam, it receives images generated whatever it is pointed input and sends those images to the computer. This is about input devices. Coming to output devices. Output device is any peripheral that receives the data from the computer. We'll see that from on the display, projection, or it is physical reproduction. Example, monitor and printer. These are the two most common output devices with a computer. Every computer has a monitor, that is a display, screen, sound card and video card, which are all output devices. A printer is also very commonly used with computers, depending on the type of computer and how the computer is used. Other output devices may be used with a computer, for example, plotter, projector, LCD projection plane, computer output, microphone, speakers, headphone, visual display unit, film recorder. These are all the some of the output devices. This is about block diagram of a computer. Input devices, CPU, output devices, memory devices. Right? What are all the input devices? Keys and output devices, printer, plotter, etc. And in the memory, we have discussed about primary memory and secondary memory. Some as storage and secondary storage to processes the information about the machine which accepts data and processes it, sends the information, put devices, and this is the computer. A computer is an electronic which understands machine language, that is zeros and ones. These are binary digits. That is, bit is abbreviated as digit. It is defined as a smallest unit of data on a binary computer or digital system. That is, bits holds 0 or 1. Now we'll see byte. Byte is defined as a group of 8 bits. It is called bits in a byte are represented from 0 to 1. That is bit byte side, that is the least 0. Here 8 bits, that is 0 to 7, 1, 4, 5. So second bit, how it represents power 0 to power 2 to power up to 7. 0 is a bit, 1 byte. Word is 6, 7, 1 by 8 bit. Word is a group of word starting from again 0 to, because it is a group of 16 bits. So this is bit and byte 8 bits and 16 bits, which is now coming of a it consists of input devices, gives the input to the CPU, which executes, that is which understands and gives output devices. In between this memory as well as CPU, that is of, this is a central processing unit which consists a control unit, arithmetic logic unit and a memory. This CPU is a heart of the computer, component that actually executes the instructions organized in a program which tells the computer what to do. And this computer does its work in a part of the machine, that is the central processing unit. Here the data converts input data to information as an output. Here it consists a highly complex X of electronic circuitry that executes stored program instructions. And here this central processing unit performs 4 steps for each instruction. First step is it gets, that means fetches the instructions from the memory. And the second step is decodes that instruction and directs that necessary data to be moved from memory to the arithmetic logic unit. These two steps are together called as instruction time. First step are together called as instruction time. Now coming to the third step, logic unit executes arithmetic logical operations. For example, arithmetic means addition, subtraction, multiplication, go on like that. Same as logical and or not operations. That is, the ALU is given control and performs the actual operation on the data. Of this operation in memory or in a register. This third and fourth step execution time. Now coming to the memory. Again here in this memory we are having two types of memories. Primary memory and secondary memory. That is, memory is a brain of a computer, stores data and information for retrieval. Same just like our human brain, memory is a space. Same as for computer, it is a device which is capable of storing data programs temporarily or permanently. Permanently is said to be secondary storage and temporarily memory nothing but memory is a wall. The data able to change or lose in case of power failure, where in case of secondary memory it is a permanent storage device. When power fails, lose the data. Primary memory is a memory that can be accessed by the central processing unit. Store the data in a primary, then access the information where the memory which is used to frequently used, which can be directed by the unit for further purpose. Every application on a computer to the RAM, that is random access, which makes it faster to access. So this refers to an internal memory such as internal storage devices. Now coming to secondary memory, it refers to external storage, that is the data stores or information it is storing is permanent. The data cannot be directly processed in secondary memory, but it transfers the data first into the main memory, and then it transfers to the processing unit. From there, we can access the data. Secondary memory refers to all external devices, floppy disk, magnetic tapes, CDs, DVDs, etc. These are than by such amount of range of gigabyte sites. To connect all these peripherals, we need ports and connections. We'll see what are all the port. Port refers to a hardware or is a hole or connection found on the front or back of the computer. This port serves as an interface between the computer and other computer peripheral devices. In computer terms, word as a part of computing device available for connection to such as input and output devices. These are all the input and output devices. For connecting these input devices and output devices for our CPU, we need ports and connections. Computer ports have many uses. These connect speakers or devices.